All right, so the last cause that we're going to talk about is the fact that the industrial workers were supporting a growing revolution because of their working conditions. They had grueling working conditions, miserably low wages, and child labor. Unions were outlawed, um, and the railway lines organized strikes. Workers were unhappy with their low standard of living and lack of political power. So, due to all the reasons that we've already talked about, different revolutionary movements were starting to pop up all over Russia. So even though these groups that were competing for power, they had different beliefs, but they overall wanted a new government for Russia. So one of the differences between these groups was the views of Karl Marx and the fact that the revolutionaries believed that the industrial class of workers would overthrow the Tsar. So in such a state, the workers would rule. So those that believed the views of Karl Marx were called Marxist, and they eventually split up into two groups. So we have the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. And we're going to focus more on the Bolsheviks. So they supported a small number of committed revolutionaries, and they were radical. So I don't know if you remember anything about being radical, but they are willing to do whatever it takes to make the changes necessary. And the major leader of the Bolshevik party was Vladimir, I don't even know how to say this, Ulyanov, which he later adopted his name to be Vladimir Lenin. And we will learn more about him tomorrow. So, list 4 reasons why it was difficult for workers in Russia in the early 1900s. They had harsh working conditions, low wages, child labor, lack of political power, and they had no representation. And why would the workers follow the Bolsheviks? Because they wanted radical change. And the Bolsheviks and Vladimir Lenin's phrase that he was promoting was peace, land, and bread. He was promising peace. He was promising an equal land distribution, and he was promising food for the hungry people. So to wrap this all up, which statement best describes the relationship between World War I and the Russian Revolution? All right, let's take a look at this first one. World War I created conditions within Russia that helped trigger a revolution. So I would say that that's definitely the case. There were a lot of not happy people as a result of World War I, and they wanted some change. So question 2. The Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 in Russia was caused in part by, and we're going with number 3, a shortage of military supplies and food during World War I, which then caused the government to be in disarray after World War I. And number 3, an incompetent government, massacres on Bloody Sunday, and the high cost of World War I were the causes of the Russian Revolution. So remember, those are some of the specific causes that we discussed. And number 4, one of the major causes of the Russian Revolution of 1917 was the abuse of political power by Tsar Nicholas II.